this is what I'm reading in the language. The prosecution of this case cannot proceed until the state selects one of two options. So very clear there. He's saying you cannot go forward unless what?
One of you has to go. Either the DA and with her the entire office, or Nathan Wade. This will be the easiest decision the DA's office has ever had to make. Obviously, Nathan Wade will go, and the judge in his ruling says essentially this is necessary to preserve public confidence in this case. He says there's enough of an appearance. There's enough of, as he says at one point, an odor of mendacity around this case. Interesting phrase. That something's got to be done to at least clean up the public
this
perception.
Smells.
Yes, of mendacity, whatever that smells like.
But seriously, but this gets what you're talking about. This whole thing was so messy, and that's what Michael Moore was saying. And this could have been nipped in the bud.
Right. Again, it's really important to underscore here. The big takeaway: Fani Willis stays on the case. The DA's office keeps the case. The case can carry on. That is far and away the bold headline. They have survived, but not without substantial damage. I mean, there is some really stark language in this ruling. The judge calls out the DA's, quote, tremendous lack in judgment, the odor of mendacity. He says that the speech, the public speech she made in the church was, quote, legally improper. And the judge even says in the ruling, it may be time for a gag order on the DA because she keeps on making improper public statements. He leaves it out there. He doesn't say I'm issuing one, but he raises the possibility of a gag order on the DA. I mean, look, there's gag orders on Donald Trump because we collectively fear that he may be tainting the jury pool, and now the judge floats the same possibility. So the DA's office has survived. The case survives. It will roll on. At what pace, we'll see, but there's some damage done here.
Joining us now, CNN Chief Legal Affairs Correspondent Paula Reed, National Correspondent Kristen Holmes, and on my left, Chief Legal Analyst Laura Coates, Legal Analyst Elliot Williams. I am not used to having so many people with me when I'm doing it. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches. I don't know who to go to first, but I'll go to Paula first. You've been leading this coverage a good part of this morning. I have no idea how, I mean, I guess she stays on the case. Fani Willis stays on the case, but it just feels like this is not good. It just feels, I mean, let's read this one part of the ruling. This finding is by no means an indication that the court condones this tremendous lapse in judgment or the unprofessional manner of the district attorney's testimony during the evidentiary hearing. I mean, it just sounds like, yes, the case continues, but it almost feels like, is it going to hobble along? I mean, what do you think?
Well, let's put this in the larger context. At some point, Trump's lawyers are going to have to defend him in a court of law, maybe not this year, based on the facts and the law. But until then, they have two goals. The first is to delay all four of his criminal trials. The other is to sow distrust in the criminal justice system. And what we've seen down in Fulton County over the past few months has helped him with both of those goals. And this language today, where the judge describes Fani Willis as having, quote, a lapse in judgment, calls her unprofessional on the stand, said she repeatedly made bad choices, and insinuates that she lied. He describes a significant appearance of impropriety that infects the current structure of the prosecution team and basically says, look, your office can recuse or you can get rid of your lead prosecutor. So while, yes, this is about Fani Willis's fate in terms of leading this, there's something much more at stake, which is trust in the judicial system. So anyone who says that this is a win for Fani Willis, it's a technical victory, but I would argue this helps the Trump team politically.
And Christian, I do want to ask you about the political implications because Trump's going to run wild with this. But Laura, I mean, I have to go to you. Why let her stay on the case if you're going to go after her in this way so publicly? Tremendous lapse in judgment and so on. I mean, it sounds to me like a gift to the defense. If they want to appeal, they want to tie this up further.
This absolutely gives them ammunition to try to attack her credibility and taint their own version of the jury pool to try to undermine. And this is in combination with an earlier this week decision to remove and dismiss some of these charges for not having been what they call properly pled. They were too insufficient, too lacking in detail to have them be able to prepare for a defense. You combine those two things, they will use this to suggest that she should not be trying this case. But if she is, then hey, she's not good enough to actually have a burden of proof met. But this is actually pretty extraordinary as a result. The judge did not have the legal basis to say that an appearance of a conflict was enough to remove. He does talk about the fact that there was the lapse in judgment. He does not condone it, but they did not meet their burden, those who are moving for this particular case, disqualifier, to say that this goes to the heart of the defendant's ability to get a fair trial. All of these salacious details, and we leaned in for the gossip, I certainly did. But when it comes down to it, None of this trial had anything to do with the underlying facts of this case. Even the speech that has been referenced by Nick Valencia and others, where she talks about what they called playing the race card, identifying why are you just going after one of my prosecutors, not the rest of them.
Yeah.
Even that, he said, did not rise to the level of disqualification. So yes, this takes a hit, but he did say they are so far removed from the actual jury selection to provide a permanent taint on a jury pool. He knows this is down the road. Amnesia might set in.
Yeah, and Elliot, it may help Fani Willis's case. I mean, if the case is delayed to some extent, because it does provide a little distance between now and when this case gets going, I suppose. I mean, that would be music to the Trump team's ears as well. But I mean, I just want to show the part that the judge says about Nathan Wade. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is also brutal, patently unpersuasive explanation for the inaccurate interrogatories he submitted in his pending divorce case indicates a willingness on his part to wrongly conceal his relationship with the district attorney. As the case moves forward, reasonable members of the public could easily be left to wonder whether the financial exchanges have continued to result in some form of benefit to the district attorney, or even whether the romantic relationship has resumed. And as Laura was saying, I mean, this has nothing to do with, I mean, as Fani Willis said, I'm not the one on trial. Trump and these co-defendants are on trial. But the judge just goes after Fani Willis and Nathan Wade as if they were on trial.
Absolutely, and there's other language along those lines where, and I was just trying to find it here, where I think the possible mendacity, I think is the word he uses, referring to Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. Now, it is important for any judge writing an opinion like this to substantiate how he's landing at the decision he's coming to. And some of that is assessing the credibility of witnesses. Can I, as the finder of fact and law, actually believe the things that are being said to me? Now, a number of these statements sort of toe the line of, is this a credibility finding or are you taking a pot shot at the prosecutor? And there were a few. So for instance, one of them referring to Fani Willis being unprofessional on the witness stand serves no purpose whatsoever. It doesn't speak to the witness's actual credibility.
She was angry.
She was angry, right?
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, that's great, like Laura says, to the human element of all this, some of the intrigue and so on, but it doesn't help. Now, I have to push back on you a little bit, Jim, that even if this trial is delayed, nothing in here helps Fani Willis and her case. And the point that Chris and I were talking about a little bit earlier, a lot of this actually sort of hurts the credibility of the office. That said, there's a difference between the legal correctness and sort of the political or moral correctness of all of it.
Yeah.
And legally, this is sound. You do not have a basis for removing this prosecutor from the case, but there's all kinds of political stuff that we can talk about.
And this is happening in the middle of a political campaign, obviously, Kristen, and Trump is going to run wild with this. He's already been doing it out on the campaign trail at these rallies, talking about Fani Willis and Nathan Wade.
Yeah, he's obsessed with Fani
almost
Willis.
Sounds like Strzok and Lisa Page. It's the same thing.
It's very, very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm sitting at a table with lawyers, and I am not a legal person, but I can tell you
well, you
from
are a
reading
legal
this,
person.
I am
just
not
saying.
a lawyer. I don't have a legal background.
See, that's what happens when
but,
you're with lawyers.
So when I look through this, I see how Donald Trump's team is going to take advantage of it. Now, they said what you would expect for them to say, which was that they were disappointed. We got a statement from Trump's lawyer, Steve Sadow. He essentially said, while respecting the court's decision, we believe that the court did not afford appropriate significance to the prosecutorial misconduct of Willis and Wade, including the financial benefits, testifying untruthfully about when their personal relationship began, as well as Willis' extrajudicial MLK church speech, where she played the race card and falsely accused the defendants of their counsel of racism. Then he continues and says, we will use all legal options available to continue to fight to end this case, which should have never been brought in the first place. That's exactly what you would expect, right?
Sure.
That they're not happy, Fani Willis gets to stay on the case, that moving forward they want this case to be dismissed. However, when you actually look at how they're going to use this, Donald Trump is going to repeat some of these lines in rallies. And I'm getting a lot of pushback already online for saying that Donald Trump is going to use this and his supporters are going to eat this up. But this is what I've seen for the last several years. Donald Trump takes some of these nuggets of truth.
Yeah, who pushed back on that?
Exactly. Well, the internet. So, but Donald takes a nugget of truth and fact from this report and then will blow it up, and his people will believe him. And not just his people, he will be able to reach other people by using this, because that is the tactic he has used since 2016.
I will say, I mean, yes, this is, as you mentioned, Paula, it's a win-ish. But there's a lot of good information in here to actually buttress the credibility of Fani Willis. It might be surprising. One part in particular, this judge called BS on the idea that the people who brought this motion had proven that the money that was given as a salary was a through line to what was used for the vacation. It was their burden, just like it'll be the burden of the prosecutors at trial to make their case. Also, another aspect of here that they said, this was the theory of the defense's case, and the defense meaning the, Trump and counsel, that they were bringing this case and prolonging this case in an effort to sustain their romantic relationship. Go to West Virginia and drive there, or Nashville at different points in time. The judge essentially said, well, that can't be true, that she was trying to prolong. Not only did she ask for a trial date in 6 months after she brought this case, she said that she didn't want to sever these defendants. She wanted them all to stay together. Everything that she was doing was trying to expedite this case, which belies what they were trying to articulate. And so on that realm, she has some legs to stand on. I do agree. This judge, if you thought Robert Hur's one line about Biden was problematic, this is a whole
lot of her,
things. And no one, I'm sure in the office wants to hear it, but I'm suspecting it's one of those, you don't have to go home, Nathan Wade, but you can't stay here.